Intel's downfall needs to be studied. Why is it bad nowadays? Well, I'm actually preparing a long-form video on this, but let me give you the quick breakdown. Intel basically speedrun themselves into irrelevancy because they kept releasing the same CPU, same architecture for 5 to 6 years. Starting from 6th gen, 6700K, all the way to 10th gen, the 10900K. That was the same fucking architecture. The 6700K and the 7700K were 4 cores, 8 threads. The 8700K was the same CPU, but you add 2 cores, 6 cores, 12 threads. The 9900K was the same CPU, but you add 2 cores, 8 cores, 16 threads. And the 10900K, say it with me, the same CPU, but you add 2 cores, 10, 20. Intel for the longest time would not give you hyperthreading on anything that is not an i7 or an i9. With 10th gen, they changed that because of Ryzen pressure. And the result of that is all the 10th gen CPUs were recycled versions of the previous gens. So it turns out releasing the same product again and again and again and again is gonna make people stop giving a fuck about your product. So by the time they actually changed their architecture with 12th gen, with the E-cores and stuff, no one gave a fuck anymore. At that point, everyone was only focused on Ryzen. Everyone had Ryzen 3000 and 5000 CPUs and they were waiting for 7000. No one gives a fuck about Intel anymore. It doesn't even matter what they do because people just don't believe in them anymore. And why should they? They spent so long doing fuck all. Because during that entire time when Intel was just re-releasing the same CPU, Ryzen was making improvements. When Ryzen 1000 came out, Intel thought it was a joke and no one was gonna buy this shit because it was not a good CPU. However, people actually went and bought. Why is that? Because Ryzen 1000 was so cheap that it became stupid to buy Intel. Unless you bought an i7, Ryzen basically threw i5s and i3s and all that shit into irrelevancy. Only the i7 made a little bit of sense because it was dominating in single core performance. Ryzen 2000 doubled down on that, but it was still trash. Until Ryzen 3000 came out, they moved to 7 nanometers. Those CPUs had crazy IPC, still losing in single core performance by a little bit, but they were still cheap, and they brought us the Ryzen 9 with 12 cores. And 2 months later, the other Ryzen 9 with 16 cores. When that happened, I'm sure Intel people cried. There were tears in the Intel offices. They've had to. There is no way that no one cried when that shit happened. I just don't believe it. And then Ryzen 5000 came out and it basically won. And here we are. Intel kept making decisions that were trying to compete with Ryzen a little bit while still thinking that they were dominating. But slowly but surely, Ryzen ended up dominating. And this is why AMD is not gonna win the GPU war. You know why? Because their GPUs are still too expensive and they are not doing the same strategy as they did with Ryzen. They need to price their GPUs so cheap that it becomes stupid to buy Nvidia. They are not doing that. I don't know what they have in their heads. So anyway, thank you for being here. This video is over. I am out of here.